Okay. So we should be seeing ourselves any moment. Up there. Meanwhile. Okay. And I know Christine is on the call too.
Cool.
Great. I believe we are live on Facebook.
Yay.
I'll let you know when we see ourselves in a minute. Oh, Christine says, can hear you, MarBeth, and I can see you. Never mind, I can hear you. You are live. Thank you, Christine.
Yay.
Awesome. That's great. So I am actually going to close down that Facebook because I don't want it talking over us. And yay, I'm so excited today. We have the amazing Jennifer Hough, and I've known Jennifer for like almost 8 years now.
Oh my gosh.
I know. It's been a very long time. We have had all kinds of adventures, and we've been to some amazing places together.
Yeah.
Had an amazing trip in Ireland with you. Yeah. And then there was India and Denver. All kinds of great places. I think the Ireland trip was really one of the highlights of, it was amazing.
All I can remember is climbing the side of that mountain up to the cairn with you. That was a blast.
Wow, that was amazing. I never saw myself as a mountain climber, and I just went right up. And oh my gosh. Yeah, that was amazing. Well, anyway, let me introduce Jennifer Hough. She is a best-selling author, a seer, a lover of life. And in her 30s, she experienced a profound transformation. So now Jennifer sees life, people, and the world as an energy holograph. And this gift allows her to find incongruent patterns that stop us from flourishing. She sees and engages metaphysical tools that bypass the need to constantly analyze by going direct with consciousness. That's very cool. Jennifer's work is for those that know it is time to get on with their hearts call on the fast track. Woo! Welcome, Jen. I'm really happy to have you here today.
Always happy to connect, MarBeth. And yeah, just really fun to see you in that gorgeous color red.
Oh, it called to me today. I never know why, but I listen. So let's talk a bit. This is a conversation about peace, so we're going to converse about it. So let's talk about contrast for peace. Why do we need contrast?
Well, when we talk about peace, so many people say, well, there are usually three things that people say. One is, but isn't contrast not peace? And yet at the same time, isn't contrast necessary for, humans to be able to live? They need the contrast in order to get the clarity for what they're doing next, etc. So if there has to be contrast, how can there be peace? So that would be one question I know that people have. I think the other question people have is around, wouldn't life be boring if we were just peaceful all the time? Right? And well, I don't know about you, but I'm up for a little boring lately.
Me too.
Right now, boring would be good sometimes.
Yeah.
Then the other piece of it is that I think that we have a very limited definition of peace. That peace is so much more than what most people perceive. So I'd love to, and that we don't include contrast in the definition. And so it's really looking at the human design. Humans are designed to create upon creation. And if we use a really simple example, like, I don't know, my beautiful phone here maybe. And my beautiful phone last year could do some things, but it didn't take the greatest pictures, and it took okay pictures, but as technology advanced, it's like, wow, I'd really love my phone to be able to do that. And also my video was okay, but I wanted to use my video wherever I went because I love putting things up on YouTube and stuff. And
Sure.
Lo and behold, they upgraded the software. There was contrast. Now, did I have to be upset about the contrast in order to uh, desire this greater? I mean, the video on this phone is amazing now. It's like HD, holy smokes, wow. Almost like I would say it's as good as my camera. And so contrast, which speaks to also this idea that we have to be catalyzed forward by painful events. We have to have really painful events happen in order to catalyze new growth. But you'll see that me just wanting more clear video isn't a painful event. It's just some contrast.
Sure.
So
And
the other,
not at all,
right,
which is
right.
beautiful.
Yeah, it's just I love this and more please, you know, that kind of thing.
Sure.
So based on now, does it mean, for instance, someone right now, I know people are thinking, gosh, you know, recently the fires in California, right?
Yeah.
It's been almost every year now. And, you know, there's just one of my clients is from Bali and there was an earthquake there, right? And people were really, really scared. So what about that kind of contrast? It seems that we don't have control over that kind of contrast. And it seems like it's scary and it seems like it's painful. And the only example I can give is this. Years ago, I was living in Toronto, and before I got married to my then husband, he lent me this gorgeous Saab, his car. It was like a total sports car, awesome car. And
I love
it's so
I
awesome.
used to have one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was a 6-speed, super souped up, awesome car. And he said, well, you're going to your program. I said, can I drive your car? He said, totally. So I went to this program and I was there all day. And I didn't realize it was a pseudo seedy area of Toronto. So what happened was someone broke 2 windows, stole the really nice stereo and blah, blah, blah. And I phoned my then date, you know, just dating him. And I said, oh my gosh, I can't believe it, but your car was broken into and da, 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 da. And he's like, oh my gosh. I said, wait a second. All I need to do is phone insurance. They'll fix it. They'll replace the radio. It's not going to put your insurance up. And we'll just get a rental car. How does that sound? So everyone around me is freaking out. But I'm in this place of just there are some things to do, and that's it. All there are is things to do.
Absolutely.
So, right? And so I got into my heart, and what was interesting is that he immediately followed. He just said, you're right, it is no big deal. It's just a car. We can really look at what's important.
Yeah. And you can be peaceful no matter what's going on around you. And I think that's really our goal, because when we're in a peaceful place, we're
Yes.
reacting. You know, it would have been so easy to react. Oh my God, my boyfriend's car was broken into. And I feel so guilty. And you could just do all kinds of trips on yourself with that. And things could have escalated completely out of control. And it would have made life miserable for you and for him and for everybody around you.
That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
And point being this is that I was listening to an interview the other day and it just struck me. You know, do you know Jim Quick?
I don't.
He's really cool. He's one of these guys that teaches you how to learn really quickly. But he has an amazing story. He was dyslexic, and you know, he has this amazing backstory. And and he was told over and over and over again, you can't, you know, you'll never get ahead. You're never gonna be amazing. You know, you'll just have to survive with doing trades or something with your hands. And what ended up happening is, of course, you know, he's all over the world teaching this thing that he learned about learning, how we learn. And we either go in, so the other part of this, we either go into solution mode, like creativity mode, which, by the way, since we're part of creation, which we are manifestations of creation, we're like creation's babies.
And we are creation's babies, yes.
Right? And the entire universe knew who we were before we got here. And so we can either acknowledge ourselves as this big, like really just this outline, this three-dimensional being. And if we're just three-dimensional beings, we're not creators. What we are is survivors. And in survival mode, you aren't the 90% of you that is in between the atoms, in between the subatomic particles. You're not that space of pure possibility that hasn't yet landed in 3D. And when you operate like all you are is molecules, what happens is there's no creativity. There is only survival mechanisms. There's only skills and steps and books to read about the steps, and everything becomes very mental. But in this guy's case, very cool. What he ended up doing was, of course, inventing a way, because there's always a way in consciousness. 90% of us is pure possibility, so there's always a way. And you dawn your true meaning, your true existence, your true identity as a creator. And in his case, the trajectory for his life was all about, I'm going to create something that it doesn't matter if you're autistic or if you're dyslexic or whatever ick you want to be. And then he created this bridge for anybody. It wasn't just for people who were dyslexic like him, it was for everybody to be able to create upon creation. And that is that is finding your own personal peace.
Sure.
Yeah, right. And so just like you, it's like you've had that. I mean, I know lots about your story, and so much of that story has catalyzed you to find solutions. But how did you feel when you weren't in solution mode, when you weren't even focused on finding solutions? Did it feel like everything was possible, like you were peaceful?
No, I was trapped. I felt very trapped until I opened myself up to a different way of seeing things.
Right. Right. So the funny thing is that I remember a time just like Jim that I explained to you just now, and just like you just described. I remember a time when I knew there was something more to life. I mean, I knew it. I knew that not just peace was possible, but it started with peace. It's like, how do I find peace? I'm struggling so hard. I'm working my butt off. I'm in survival mode. And I got to tell you, MarBeth, at that point, it was long before I knew you. At that point in my life, I had no idea we were more than three-dimensional. And that was the problem. I just thought I was 3D, and I had to work really hard. And what ended up happening is this series of, doesn't matter the long story, but this series of wakened dreams that started to show me our multidimensional nature. And it was directly, and I'm saying this because the answers I got were in direct response to the struggle I was having.
Sure.
And the answers I got were, well, you have multidimensional abilities. It's like people are meant to be superhuman. We're meant to go direct with consciousness. And we're meant to create at a level that most people never experience because they don't even realize it's possible. And so I started to see this multidimensional DNA that allows us to upgrade the body. And you got to know, I'm freaking out, right? I'm freaking out because at this point, I've barely even been to a massage therapist, like to consider that that's part of us was huge for me. But the awakened dreams were relentless. They wouldn't stop until I owned who I was. And then I got so excited that I couldn't help but go on a creative journey to try to figure out how everyone could embody that, right? So it wasn't just me. And because when you see that kind of stuff, who wants to keep that to yourself, right?
No, absolutely. You
Right.
need to share it. And I believe that's what we do. When
Yeah.
we awaken everyone. And
Yeah.
that's really our mission. You know, we need to, your mission, if you choose to accept it, is
Yes.
to accept this embodiment of who you are for yourself and share it with the world.
Exactly. And we are we're born creators, so it's always finding new ways to see how much faster or how much more integrated we can get and what else we can create. And when we're focused, another thing that I find that is missing in the definition of peace is this idea that vibrationally people here that are surviving, they think there's something broken. I was just having this conversation this morning. This woman thought she was broken and she needed fixing, so she approached this idea of finding her flow. That's what my definition of peace is, being in your flow with all of life. And then you
Sure.
affect other people with the yearning to be in that much flow, right? So
Yeah,
when you infect people with the yearning, now consciousness is aware that they're actually even interested in being in flow, and consciousness is going to start to send you things that are about finding your flow. Now sometimes it's about working with you, sometimes it's about working with me, sometimes it's about working with no one and going, and sitting on a mountaintop, oming. It could be anything. But the point is, this woman was saying, I think I need fixing and I'm broken, and so what I need to do is do the stuff that you're talking about to fix me. But the problem is, any work, your work, my work, whoever's work that you approach from a place of fixing is always going to come back to the idea that you're broken, and you're never going to get the full integration with all of who you are, because you're going to be struggling constantly to get somewhere else based on your expectation that some nuclear bomb of amazingness is going to go off at some point, because we're so hooked into that everything has to be a massive aha. But it doesn't. It's the little things over time that we practice that actually get us there. And for her, she was stuck in this idea that I'm broken, and she's taking every course in the world to try to fix herself. And I said, the problem is that your expectation that you're broken is actually being brought into every program you do.
absolutely. Yeah,
Right?
she's bringing her beliefs with her about who she is.
Yep.
And when she can shift that into, oh, I'm perfect. And
Yeah.
here's where I am, and I'm perfect, but I want to go over there. The
And
contrast
it's
we were
back to my
talking
phone,
about.
right? It's
Yeah,
like got a little bit of this or that, maybe I want a better video, better. So in other words, it's collapsing the idea in humanity that we've invented that we're broken and we need fixing, which is a lot of where certain psychology philosophies come from, where it's everywhere, really. It's how we approach our bodies. It's why we go on diets. It's pervasive. This, even when we go to doctors, the perception is always I'm broken and I need fixing, when in fact trees are breathing out at this very second what you're breathing in. We're alive, we're here, we're present. And if we can wake up every morning realizing that, something happens to the idea that things could even happen to us. Things can only happen for us from there forward.
exactly.
And
Yeah,
when you're in that kind of flow, embodying that idea, as when I say embodying, I mean it's in your cells. It's not something you have to think about. It becomes your default way of approaching life. Then you start to realize nothing happens to you. Every single thing, even the fires and all of that, happens for us. And then there are only things to do. And sometimes it's really hard. It's really hard. And it's also being at peace with experiencing every single emotion without judging the emotion.
yeah,
And
that's so
that,
beautifully expressed, Jennifer. And it's so true. We
mm,
have to just embrace what is, and just acknowledge that even if it doesn't feel like it's a gift at the time, it
mhm,
really is. This is an opportunity to see things a different way. It's an opportunity to grow into a more expanded self. It's a, once you recognize it, what's the gift in this? How can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? And that's when you're just empowering yourself. I'm so grateful that you've been sharing this. It's beautiful, Jen.
Yeah, and sometimes, MarBeth, we've all experienced this. Sometimes an experience sucks.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes an experience just sucks. I can recall a few experiences in my life that just really sucked.
Oh, yeah.
But understanding that it's okay that it sucks. Sometimes people even try to fix. It's like, how can I find as you were saying, what's the gift? What can I learn? All that kind of stuff. But in the moment, it's almost impossible to see it, right?
Oh, it is. Absolutely.
Eventually you're going to see it. But while you're in that suckiness, it's really hard to see it.
But I think also that you have to recognize that you have a choice every instant. So you can choose, I'm just going to get lost in this suckiness and wallow in it. And that's okay. There's no judgment there. But you can also choose, I'm going to be peaceful. I'm going to do something positive. This is an impetus to help me grow into a bigger place.
Well, and here's the thing. There's peace in, I'm going to have the best, worst day ever. See, when there's dissonance between what's actually going on and what you wish was going on, you've only got two choices. Oh boy, I haven't shared this in a long time. You've only got two choices, right? So there's what is and what you wish would be. One choice is you, as you just said, put yourself into a frame of reference of just do something that makes you feel a little bit better. Just do something, even if it's just sleeping. So that's changing what is so that you feel a little bit better. Sure. But if we're not even judging when it sucks, which is sucking us over here, you could actually take that wish that I wish it felt better and actually collapse it into, well, what, I can think of some, I was just talking to someone whose brother died. He committed suicide. And it's like, there's no way around how much that sucks. Yeah. And sometimes there's peace in just letting it be a not great situation. It's not great that people are losing their houses over fires or that they ever have, or that they ever will. And at the same time, I'm sure they'll find gifts and stuff. But right now, having that incredible cry and just being with that, I would say, very sacred sorrow is where we find peace, because what we're finding peace with is what is. And when we find peace with what is, what happens is the space opens up between the atoms where possibility exists.
Yes.
When we can actually be with what is, the space between the atoms opens up where the solutions, you might not be able to see them right now, but you will, because you're not avoiding what is. And so, one of the best movies I've ever seen about that, did you watch the movie Inside? Is it called Inside Out?
Oh, I don't think so.
It's a Pixar movie, and it's so...
Yes, I saw it.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah, and so that movie actually exemplifies what I'm talking about here, because the ending of the movie is that none of it is wrong. It's all okay.
It's all okay.
Yeah, and that's how we find, so it's one of the things that comes up when I see, like, okay, let's have National, Ecstatic Day, or and I look at it and I went, so many people are going to approach National Ecstatic Day from a place of it's broken that it's not ecstatic, Yes. And when we talk about peace, so many people are like, yeah, it's so bad that we're at war. But as soon as you say it that way, you're at war with the war.
Yes, you are.
And you're not at peace. So the point is peace is a state of being. It's not about being at war with war. It's like judging the judgment. There's no point in that. There's just what is, right? And then we find the solutions. And since consciousness is constantly tending towards more fluidity and more creation, what's great is the solutions are inevitable. And knowing that is even a wonderful conduit for peace. Right.
It truly is. Wow, I could go on with this forever. We are having I love this conversation, and you've really brought up so many very valid points. And really we've gone into some very deep places today. I think you've given people a lot to think about. And I'm really looking forward to your meditation tomorrow. Woo, I'm so glad you're doing this with us, Jen.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm excited to do it, MarBeth, and I'm really, just let me honor you for a second. Thank you for putting this together, because every person you interview is adding a little piece or a little twist or a little up or downside or whatever it is, and that you were inspired to put this together really says something about your commitment to peace and to people and to all of us. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Jen. Do you have any? I know you've had so many wise words to say today. What would you like to share? A lovely piece of wisdom to share with our viewers.
Well, I think maybe a little tool.
Okay, that sounds great.
Yeah, I have basically 3 questions that I ask myself that assist me to get back here, back in that state of regardless of what's going on. One question is my favorite question to ask. I ask it all the time of myself and others, is the thing that I'm worried about or that I'm attached to or that I think I need to happen, is that even my invention? Is that even my paradigm? Is that even mine? And
great question. Wow.
Right.
It's a great question.
Yeah. Yeah, 90% of the time it's not.
Interesting.
Right? The thing I'm upset about is because I'm projecting someone else's value system, usually my mother or my father or societal or whatever. And when I ask that question, I'm very aware that I am all of consciousness. I am not this. I am not 3D. It's like, it's just so powerful to be able to ask that question because half the time it's not even mine. I am the entire universe incarnate. So how could anything less than expansive be mine? It can't be. So
beautiful.
Question number 1. Question number 2 is it possible that I know someone that can offer me a freeing perspective? See, I don't ask, do I know someone? I ask, is it possible? Because the answer to that question is always going to be yes.
Sure.
Is it possible that I know someone? And then since the portal is open, now I'm more likely to find the person. And the last question is, what can I do to feel better right now? What can I do to feel better right now? I would say 30% of the time it's watching one of those Pixar movies.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It could be anything. Could be anything to feel. It could just be a walk in nature. But what can I do to feel better right now? Because as soon as I change my frequency, it also changes what comes to me. So beautiful. Those are the 3 questions that I ask. So for me, it's a very important tool. And one of my favorite things to do is to put them on sticky notes around my house. So just in case I slip up or I, have a few human moments, it's right there in front of my face. And sometimes I just want to go, I hate you, Sticky. But
I love them, Jen. And believe me, I think I love the idea of the sticky notes. I'm definitely going to do that. Because so often, is it even, I use that, is it even mine? Is this mine? When I'm, as an empath, I feel other people's stuff.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, and I always ask, is this mine or is this someone else's? And I use that when I'm working with my clients. So that is really brilliant when you think about something that you're concerned about.
Yep.
Is this my value or someone else's? I love that. That is just brilliant, as are you. So,
It's right. What we say is this mine. It's like there's a thought form that I'm plugged in to because I've let my frequency go down. And so I'm
mhm.
plugged into thought forms that aren't even mine. So when I ask that, that's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at these existing thought forms and paradigms that other people have thought that are sort of, you know what I mean.
But it's so easy because we are basically holograms. We're not really these bodies, but we're basically. I love the movie Cocoon. You know, the light beings in the
Oh, yes,
suit.
yeah, yeah.
You know, the bodies that are their suits. They zip them up. You know, and I
Yeah.
like to think of ourselves as these light beings that we just have no limits and we expand. And because we are just that and at a higher frequency, I feel other people's stuff, but I always use that as a tool to help me help other people. So, actually, what used to be really a difficult challenge has turned really into a blessing, to be able to
Right.
recognize, oh, they've got this, and they're holding it here, and so that's a wonderful thing. But I love this. I love these 3 questions, and I'm going to use them. So I
Well,
recommend.
yeah, yeah. Well, you know what's really cool is even instinctually being able to look at someone energetically. When I look at people's holograms, as you're saying, it's really interesting because you can see that most of what's plugged into them is not theirs either.
That's
And
right.
that's why we transmute it. So what's
Exactly.
true for them is also true for us, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I find that about 85% of the people I work with are carrying other people's stuff.
Yeah. Oh
I
yeah.
hadn't thought about the values. I mean, that's brilliant. But
Yeah.
what
So
do we?
cool.
Thank you so much, Jen. I'm really looking forward to your meditation tomorrow.
Yay. I'm looking forward to it too, Marva. It's going to be,
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being part of us and helping with this experiment. So much love to everybody. And be sure to post your questions, for Jennifer in the chat. And even after this live conversation, I'm sure she'll be happy to respond. And all of
oh,
her information will be up, so you can find her and be sure to watch the meditation tomorrow.